Next, we will start with units of heat. So, the first unit we will going to discuss is calorie. First is calorie, and how you will define it. The spelling C-A-L-O-R-I-E. O-R-I-E. Calorie. Now, what is calorie? Calorie is the amount of heat required. Amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius. That is 15 degrees Celsius. This is what we take. So, calorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of, this is the most important term, temperature of 1 gram. How much amount of water? That is 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius. That is calorie. Clear? And if we want to convert it into the larger unit, then calorie denoted by CAL, calorie, and the larger unit can be written as larger unit of heat is kilocalorie. Clear? And how it can be related to kilocalorie? 1 kilocalorie is equal to, we know kilo is 10 raised to power 3. So here instead of K we will write 1, 2, 3 and this is calorie. So it is 1 kilocalorie is equals to 1000 calories. Clear? Second unit is British thermal unit. This question can be asked in 3 marks, I hope. So a British thermal unit denoted by B dot thermal TH dot unit U. So how it can be defined? It can be defined same as calories. Calorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water. Same in British thermal unit. It is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of, instead of 1 gram of water, here we are writing 1 pound of water. Clear? So it is the amount of heat, same we will write amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 pound of water. 1 pound of water through 1 degree Fahrenheit. Here this is the difference. Here 1 pound of water through 1 degree Fahrenheit. Clear? And here it is 1 degree Celsius. So in Fahrenheit it will be 60 degree Fahrenheit to 61 degree Fahrenheit. Clear? And 1 British thermal unit is equal to 252 calories. Clear? And calorie can be converted into kilocalorie. That is 0.252 kilocalorie. This is the second unit. Third, we have, all of you read that unit, that is joule. Oh, sorry, J-O-U. It is U. J-O-U-L-E, joules. So what is joule? In SI system, clear? In SI system, heat is measured in joules, clear? And 1 calorie is equal to 4.184 joule. This is the relation you should learn. Clear? So these are the units of heat: calorie, British thermal unit and joule. So it can be asked in exam in short answer type questions. So next we are going to discuss about the characteristics of a good fuel. What are the characteristics of good fuel? So characteristics of a good fuel. There are the characteristics how a particular human being is good. So what are the characteristics? Clear? Same we have what are the characteristics for the fuels. Which fuel is categorized as a good fuel? So in a layman language, we can say a fuel is good fuel if it produces a large amount of heat and which is cheaper. So the first characteristic I'm going to write is a good fuel has high it is not visible. Characteristics, yes, now it is. A good fuel has high calorific value. So first of all, we have to understand what is calorific value. Clear? So calorific value is the amount of heat energy present in the fuel. Higher is the calorific value if a particular fuel, if two fuels are given to you and the calorific value of, suppose we have A and B, two fuels, and the calorific value of fuel B is more, then we will categorize fuel B as a good fuel, because high calorific value means higher amount of heat is produced, higher amount of heat. Clear? So a good fuel should have higher calorific value. Now the second characteristic is low moisture content. So a good fuel has a low moisture content. As we already know that, suppose we take wood. If wood is having a moisture in it, so it will not burn. Clear? So a good fuel should have low moisture content, as if a fuel has a high moisture content, then it reduces the calorific value. If calorific value is low, then obviously that is not a good fuel. Clear? If we have, I am writing it, high moisture content. Clear? It reduces the calorific value. Now third one which we all expect, that is cheap. A good fuel should be cheap and it should be easily available. So here I am writing cheap and easily available. Clear? So that fuel we will categorize. Next point is moderate ignition temperature. Already we have studied what is ignition temperature. Ignition temperature is the temperature at which a particular fuel catches a fire. It should be moderate. Moderate means in between. Neither it should be higher, neither it should be too low. If the ignition temperature is low, then the fuel can easily catch fire and it cannot. So a good fuel has moderate ignition temperature. Next characteristic is it should have non-spontaneous combustion. Non-spontaneous combustion. What do you mean by non-spontaneous combustion? Combustion you know, and non-spontaneous, the processes which do not take place on its own. Clear? So that processes are non-spontaneous processes or non-spontaneous combustion. Clear? So a combustion of a good fuel should be non-spontaneous. If it is spontaneous, then it will easily catch fire. Okay, the reaction will start on its own. Spontaneous means the reaction will start on its own without any extra heat. Okay, so it should undergo non-spontaneous combustion. Next point is, we'll mark it this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6th one is, sixth is, it should have minimum smoke and non-poisonous gases. Non-poisonous gases. Obviously, we all always wanted that the fuel we use should have less smoke and should not evolve poisonous gases. So, a good fuel should have minimum smoke and should not exhibit poisonous gases, otherwise it should pollute the atmosphere. For example, which are the poisonous gases? For example, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, etc. These are some of the harmful gases. Now coming to the next point, point number 7. It should have low storage cost. Low storage cost. That is, it should be stored very easily. Next point is point number 8. It should have moderate rate of combustion. Earlier we have done non-spontaneous combustion. Now here it is moderate rate of combustion. It means the temperature of combustion depends, temperature of combustion of a fuel, that depends upon its rate of combustion. If the rate of combustion is low, then the required high temperature may not be reached. So, and if it is too high, it causes high temperature very quickly. So, it should be moderate rate of combustion, neither too high nor too low. So, this is the point number 8. Now, coming to the next, that is point number 9. Point number 9 is low non-combustible matter content. It means after combustion, non-combustible matter content means after combustion there should no ash left. Okay, if there will be more ash, then that fuel is not a good fuel. So it should have low non-combustible matter content. Okay, a good fuel should have low content of non-combustible matter. Okay, and last I am going to discuss last point, that is easy transportation. These are some of the basic points which you know. Easy transportation. Clear? That a good fuel is a fuel which is easy to handle and easy to transport at low cost. Clear? Easy to transport at low cost. So these are the characteristics of a good fuel. Clear? This question can be asked in your questions of 5 marks. Okay. Now next we are going to discuss the calorific value of a fuel. As we have already learned what is calorific value. Now we are studying some more detail calorific value of a fuel. What is calorific value of a fuel? We know the amount of heat produced. Calorific value, we know what is calorific value? The amount of heat produced when the fuel is burned. But here we will fix some amount. Calorific value of a fuel is the amount of heat produced when a unit mass, or if we are taking, suppose, gaseous fuel, then instead of unit mass you can write unit volume, or if you are taking liquid then you can write unit volume of the fuel is burnt completely. The amount of heat produced when a unit mass or unit volume of the fuel is burnt completely, that is the calorific value of a fuel, and it is one of the important property. Okay, now there are two types of calorific values. Now we will discuss about two types of calorific values. Types of calorific values. Okay, now there are two types, as I have already told you. So first one is higher calorific value, or gross calorific value. Clear? And second one is your lower calorific value or net calorific value. Okay, so in next lecture we will discuss about these two concepts. Okay.